Okay, so let's talk about decorating your chassis. So you've got it all wired up and you'd like to decorate it with these brass rods. So the brass rods that I used are these K&S Precision Metals brass rods. They're 0.81 millimeters, and that's really important. You really can't get any larger than that, so I think this is about as big outer diameter brass rod as you're going to be able to use. And I found that the brass rods are the best for working with for a couple of reasons. They're malleable enough that you can bend them to the shapes that you need, but also rigid enough that when you're done, they still look nice and straight, so they're not all wavy and crooked when you're all finished with them. So when you're decorating your chassis, the first thing you're going to want to do is just get a section of your brass rod and make sure that it sits flush with the surface, that each of these channels is deep enough that that brass rod's not going to pop out at all. You're going to start by putting the brass rod through the hole and then bending it along the channel, and then we'll take our pliers and finish that bend so it gets nice, get the bend as good as we can get it. And then we're going to kind of estimate and overestimate how much wire we're going to need to finish that channel, and then we'll cut that excess off. Okay. Oh, wrong one. So then we're going to need to find the next bend. It's right around here. It helps to go slow with this. So we're going to find that bend and then try to bend it up. See if that's good enough. So it looks like probably a little bit too soon, so I'm going to bend it back and then try to get it in a better spot. Let's see how that works. So it's best to really take this slow and make sure you have some extra brass rod, because it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. So try to bend the last piece there. See how that works. So bent it a little bit too late, so bend that back. See if we can get that a little bit better. Okay. So I ran out of battery, so I finished bending this off camera. But once you get the wire the shape that you like, you're going to cut the excess wire that was poking through the chassis so that it's not going to come in contact with anything. And if you like the way it's fitting, then put a little bit of glue in the channel and then press this into place. If you're having trouble with this fitting in the chassis, then either try to bend a new piece of wire and see if it fits better. If it's not quite the right shape, it'll be under tension, and that might cause it to pop up out of the channel even once it's glued. Or you might be having these bends sticking up. So if the bends are sticking up, then you want to take a file and very carefully sand that bend flat so that it's flush with the rest of the chassis. And you want to make sure you don't accidentally sand the chassis, because if you print it in the premium plastic, which I recommend, then this surface is just dyed, and if you sand it, there's white underneath, so it's going to be really visible. Once you're done, it should look like this. The metal mesh here is something I got off of eBay. You can search for hobby mesh or model mesh. It's really for model building. So that works really nicely. And these circles here are just neodymium magnets, and they're not really doing anything, they're just decorative. So if you want to fill that circular space there, you can get a small magnet.